So let's begin with why should you study in US? Which are the top universities in USA for specific domains? What is their application process? And a little bit about the job market and salary scale, work permit, PR and citizenship, things that usually people are really worried about. If you look at the QS rankings, the world QS rankings, the US definitely has some of the finest universities. So that should tell you that, it does give you a lot of choice. The education system is quite flexible, unlike a lot of other countries where you have to choose a fixed department or fixed range of courses. There is a lot of cultural diversity. So you will see students from China, students from India, Singapore, Vietnam, you name it and you have it. It's a cultural melting pot. When it comes to campus life, when you have a lot of diversity, obviously you learn from a lot of perspectives, you learn from a lot of, there's a lot of personal growth as well. And of course, USA hosts the largest number of international students anywhere in the world. Which are the top universities in USA? What I'm going to tell you right now is based on a lot of data that we have collected over a few years, where we have sent students to these universities and we have received good feedback from them about these universities and these programs. So I'm going to quickly talk to you about some of the popular programs in different universities. Now, of course, the big five and everybody's dream universities are the Ivy Leagues. There are some very popular universities in USA. Some of them are Ivy League on this page as well. So most of these universities are dream universities for people. And when I say dream universities, they look at overall profile sometimes. They look at good ACADS, good GPA, a good GRE, GMAT scores, something like that. And also like a very extraordinary profile. When you're looking at some popular specializations in the USA, obviously a lot of you know about it, but computer science, embedded systems, power engineering, it is a country and an economy that is dependent a lot on STEM. And if you see here, there's a lot of variety here. It's not just for computer science, unlike popular opinion, it's for a lot of other fields as well. And we have had students who have found success in this country in these specializations. In the US, the branding of a university is definitely more valuable than that of a college. The reason for that is, I'm not talking from a brand perspective. Of course, a lot of colleges have very good brand and reputation there. From an international student's perspective, if you take up a STEM program or a master's program, generally you are at a much better position, in terms of getting a job and things like that. Universities are definitely larger in colleges and they offer more variety. You will have very limited options in colleges. Like colleges usually offer like a 1-year diploma. And sometimes this 1-year diploma will not give you a STEM OPT. So you'll have to be very careful about the degree that you select, because in the USA, especially for STEM programs, you get a 3-year OPT period. And that's kind of important. That's the most important thing, in fact, to kind of make a stable career and recover your costs and everything. Universities require 16 years of education. Colleges would be okay with 15 years. But then if you're not going to get like a work permit, then that's not going to be useful for you. When it comes to eligibility, most of the programs would require at least a 4 years bachelor's degree. There are some universities which would take a 3-year degree as well, but they are few and far in between. If you see most of the universities, they will look for a total of 16 years of education, which means 4 years after your 12th. Some of them would take 3 years. And how do you know that? You can check on their application requirements. And yes, if they take a 15 years degree, if they specifically mention that, then yes, they definitely take that. It also depends from program to program, what their specifications are. You should have an average GPA of around 3 or 65 to 70% and above. If you're anywhere below that, then there's a high chance you'll have to compensate for that with something else in your profile. You would also require an English language proficiency test such as an IELTS or a TOEFL. GRE score should be 290 or above. Anything below 290, it may not count towards a good application. Plus, you would need a very strong statement of purpose, which is 30% of your application, this just one document, and 2 or 3 letters of recommendation. There are other things that can add weight to your application. What you saw just now, those are the compulsory requirements. So things like research or internship or any published research papers, especially if your program is a very research heavy or a thesis based program, it would definitely make a lot of sense for you to publish some papers right now. And last but not the least, any social or leadership activities. Now, mind you, do not engage in all these things at the cost of your CGPA or your, say, GRE scores. Now, these are some of the universities which we have bifurcated as per specialization. So for computer science and information, obviously these are the top names: USC, Stanford, MIT, UIUC. We've sent a lot of students for MIS as well to all these colleges listed here. The application process. When you start the process, what you do in August and September is selecting the right universities, deciding what courses you need. Simultaneously, you can start working on your SOPs, LORs, resumes, and all those things. A lot of you will take your GRE, TOEFL, IELTS test during August and September. From September to December, you can actually send out applications. There are a lot of early deadlines, especially in October. So if you've done your homework well, if you've done all the university and the course selection in August and September, you can target the early deadlines, which are there usually in October and November first week. September to December, when you start sending your applications, you can expect admits from Jan to April. This is when you basically start, post your application season, you start with the financial counseling, taking student loans. Sometimes, even before you do this, you would need to start your financial counseling because you don't want to do things last minute, right? So you would want to sort out your loans or things like that. You may want to take them later, but you may want to sort it out right when you're selecting the universities. You may not want to apply to a university haphazardly without knowing your loan situation. Okay, so a lot of people with us start their processes early as well, right from September, the loan processes and everything, right? April to June is the time when you are applying for your visas. That is when a lot of you will already have received some admits and would kind of know where you are planning to go. So that's when you apply for your visas. And August, September is when you arrive. Pro tips for USA application process. Generally, the sooner you apply, it's better because then you can give ample time to your SOPs, LORs, resume. You can make sure that before applying, you've sorted out your loan processes and everything like that. The course selection is very important because your entire career is going to depend on it. So we need to spend ample time for selecting the right courses and selecting the right universities. It's not like you can just Google up top universities in computer science or top universities in mechanical engineering and just apply haphazardly. Because every application would cost you a fee, generally around $75. Take your GRE and TOEFL at least 4-5 months before the deadline. Figure out which professors you're going to ask for LORs. So getting an expert or getting someone like a professor to write it in a very formal and objective way is the right way to go about it. Start working on your SOP. This is going to take time. It cannot happen overnight. The SOP takes a lot of effort. It evolves over time. It requires brainstorming so that you're putting the right foot forward. Obviously, you are spending $75 to $120 per application. You would want to spend time on this, right? So try not to write it in one go. That's not the right approach, okay? And it has to be reviewed by senior counselors or people who have written a lot of SOPs. So it cannot happen in one go. Very important, if you have not received your transcripts of your current transcripts till right now, then try and apply for that from your college and get the transcripts as soon as possible. You should apply to the right number of universities. So at College Pond, we will help you get that right balance. Okay, you can brainstorm with experienced counselors who know what kind of a profile would be safe, ambitious, moderate for what kind of a university. Coming to a little bit about the student visa requirements. There are three types of visas that students usually take. The most common one is the first one, obviously, the F1 student visa. It's for anybody who's studying at a college or a university. J, exchange visa, is for people who are going for an exchange program like a Fulbright fellowship or something like that. M, student visa, usually it's for vocational study or training. It's for trade courses and all, which a lot of people don't go to USA for that. You need to show them that you are a genuine student. You must be able to show that you have strong ties to your home country. You don't have any compulsion to settle down in US. Long-term goals should always be tied to your home country. Also make sure that the university that you're choosing in the US, it is a reputed one and it is approved by SEVP. Enough financial capacity to support his or her stay for the entire program duration. For most programs, you might have to show the capacity to pay for your tuition for both the years and also your living expenses. So you have to be very careful that you present your case in the proper way during the visa interview. There have to be good enough reasons for you to come back. In the mock interviews, we train students how to portray themselves so that they come across as a right combination of all of these. You could pay the SEVIS fee, that's step one, that's around $350 right now. Once you get an admit letter from the university, you have to show them the financial documents and then they give you something called as the I-20. Now I-20 is your confirmed admit. And once you receive the I-20, there is a SEVIS number on the I-20. You have to pay the SEVIS fees of $350 towards that number. Once you finish the SEVIS payment, you can then fill the forms and then you book your appointment at the consulate on the day of your interview. You answer their questions very clearly, at the same time coming across as a very genuine student. You will also need to be very, very clear about your own goals. Why are you taking this program? What is your motivation? Depending on what you are showing to the visa officer, if you're showing all your money in savings banks or FDs, these are the corresponding documents you will need. Universities would have their specific requirements as to what they would require, which is why it is all the more important to shortlist your universities much in advance so that your parents are aware of what documents they'll have to keep ready and whether they need a loan. If the university is too much over budget, then you might need a loan just to get the admit. So all these things have to be figured out. Total expenses for masters. The initial application cost could be around $50 to $200, and other expenses like you have to send your TOEFL and GRE scores also. So if you're applying to 10 US universities, on an average the cost will be $1,100. Now consider the cost of your airfare. The average is $675 one way. Tuition fee depends on university to university, but the average cost is around $40,000 US. Now, of course, this can be reduced if you're sharing your accommodation with 4 people, 5 people, if you are basically receiving some kind of an RA or TA later. Cost of living will again depend on the location and how many roommates you are sharing, the size of the apartment. But individually, if you look at it, it is between $600 to $1,200. Obviously, if it's in a place like New York, it's going to be towards the $1,100, $1,200 budget. So this is the breakdown of part-time work in USA. Since you are a student, you can work only 20 hours a week, and that also on campus. Okay. And but the studies are so hectic that even if you get an on-campus job, most students end up working only for 10 to 15 hours a week. And when you're a student and when you're working on campus, your pay rate is around $15 to $16 per hour. You cannot take up internships, which is your CPT here, the point number 1. You cannot take it up in the first academic year, which is usually 9 months. But after 9 months, you can take up CPTs. Once you finish your program, you can go for your OPT. There's something called as the STEM OPT extension, which means if you are a STEM student, then obviously you get 2 more years after the initial OPT. How do I find a job in USA? A very important thing that we need to know is, you can't apply with the job, to every job with the same resume. So if you're applying to 50 jobs, then, every job will have probably a slightly different job description. And in that case, you have to customize your resume. Attach a cover letter for every mail, that goes without saying. Make a LinkedIn account and start contacting recruiters. The moment you get an admit, you should start doing this. Visit career fairs and networking events. This is something that you will do there afterwards. Understand one thing, just because they have career fairs, every university has them, doesn't mean that you will get a job out of that. So network, apply, wait, repeat is your mantra. Why would you want to go to USA? Obviously, the most powerful economy in the world today. Major reasons would be highest salaries in the world and a great international working environment. Growth industries include healthcare and social assistance, construction. These are some of the top industries, IT, hospitality. We have also sent a lot of students to consumer goods, pharma, IT, finance, food processing, these kind of programs. And these are good industries there. These are the industries where people make a lot of money. Apart from salaries, it is a very good place for basically getting very good returns on your investment. Working conditions are safe and diverse. One of the most equality-based society. Opportunity to make new friends. In fact, after the initial period, you should actually go out and network with people, understand the culture. That's how you will flourish in your workplace.